to have this opportunity to have a conversation really with fellow compatriots. I say it has to be a conversation because I'm hoping that it will be very interactive and that we will have an opportunity to share experiences, share ideas, and also have me respond to some of the issues that you may have with regards to our home country. I know that our community here in the UK in general is a very vibrant and very diverse community. That within the community we've got Cameroonians who identify with almost every political association or political party in the country, and that's a good thing. And I'm hoping that in the process of our evening conversation today, we will have an opportunity for a very civil discourse, because I also think that the moment is right for us in our country to begin to have different kinds of conversations about the state of affairs in our country and the way forward. As Eric said, in the past 2 years, I have begun a process of engaging fellow Cameroonians, fellow compatriots. First in the diaspora, I have had town meetings in Washington, in North Carolina, in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, in Denver, Colorado. I have also been to Canada, in Montreal and Ottawa, meeting with Cameroonians. I've been to Germany and Paris and France. And I'm now here in the UK. But I should say upfront, for the record, that none of these trips is paid for by any organization or any government. All of the trips, all of the expenses have been personal expenses borne by myself, and in some cases by Cameroonians living in these countries and in these cities, who have been generous enough to invite me, and in some cases to provide the facilities such as this hall, where we can sit and have a conversation as a people. I think it's very important to make that abundantly clear right from the beginning and put that on the table, so that people can understand where I'm coming from with all of this. The reason I'm also doing this is because I feel that as a Cameroonian who loves his country, we should all be looking for ways to make our contributions felt. And that having had the good fortune or the good luck to be working on democracy and governance issues or democratic governance issues for close to 2 decades now, and given where I think the state of affairs are in our own country, it behooves someone like me and many others who have been fortunate enough to see how things can be done differently in other countries, to look for ways to share that experience with their fellow compatriots. And I feel that if all the knowledge that I have, all the expertise that I have, and all the lessons that I myself have learned working these issues across the continent, that if I didn't share all of these ideas with my fellow compatriots, I would be doing myself, my country, a whole disservice. And I also think that Cameroonians would expect nothing less of me. And so part of this is my own minor or modest contribution to a new kind of political discourse in our country. If I have any resources to put into this and I don't put them, then for me it begs the question as to why I even have those resources as well. Along the line, I've really appreciated the openness with which Cameroonians have engaged in these conversations. In every city that we've gone to thus far, and as you can imagine, despite the, notwithstanding the diversity of viewpoints in our respective Cameroonian communities in all of the countries that I've cited, people have been very open. People have been very open and very receptive, and I have come out of those conversations all the richer for it. You may also remember that, 3 or 4 years ago, the position of the Cameroonians in the diaspora was not well understood, I think, by the authorities of the day, in the sense that when you looked at the diaspora, there were a number of our compatriots who had been very engaged, strongly engaged in the democracy movements of the early 90s. And a lot of them had invested time and energy and their own resources into those efforts. And when the efforts didn't materialize the way they thought, a number of them had become very disappointed and almost dejected with regards to making any effort to contribute to the country's democratization. At the same time, some of them had also made their peace with the environment in which they live, also because as a matter of necessity, they've got to fend for themselves and their families. But I have noted that in the past 2 years, as these conversations have begun to take place, there is beginning to build a different attitude within the Cameroonian community in the diaspora. An attitude of saying, we can't just abandon our country. If we have issues that we think are not right, we have to find a way to make our contribution working hand in hand with our fellow compatriots back home to make sure that the change that we think should come about, the things that we think should be improved upon, should actually be improved upon. And for me, that's very heartening. And one of the indicators that I have seen and noted is the fact that even the authorities of the day are beginning to take notice that Cameroonians do exist in the diaspora, that they have to engage the diaspora